choice, not yours. Pass that.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Lebanon Board of Park Commissioners. I'd like to call the meeting to order and let the record show that all members are present. Now, if everyone's had a chance to review the June 2nd minutes, I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. I need to make one correction, too, on the roll call. Diane Scott is not here this evening. Okay. John, do we have any old business to come before the board?
I guess I do as far as our projects, but we can cover that later in the director's report and have Deb Schmucker, unless you'd like Deb to talk about Cornerstone, two big projects we have.
Okay.
Would you like that? Deb is here. She can talk about the lighting project and also the playground.
Okay, do you want to go ahead and do that then now, Deb?
That's great.
Okay.
Well, good evening. My name is Deb Schmucker. I'm with Cornerstone. We've been working on the playground project, and if they can flip the laptop up here, I'll just show you kind of where that's at. For those who may not be familiar, this is Memorial Park, and here's the basketball courts right here, and your existing play area is all back stretched through this area, and the new ADA playground will be right adjacent to this existing parking lot, and it'll be between two sets of swings. I'll give you a little closer. Here's just a quick kind of snapshot of the existing parking lot. We're going to be adding some sidewalk here along the parking area, and then the playground area will be inside this with an 8-foot concrete walkway around the perimeter, plenty of room for benches, and there'll be a black chain link fence around it with a gate to keep kids corralled, since we know this will be a little bit younger crowd. But really, the more important thing here, this is a site plan, but it's always easier to look at play equipment in the 3D. So this is a fully accessible play structure for ages 5 through 12. It also has what is considered to be in older vernacular, it's called a surface spinner, but it allows you to actually wheel a wheelchair onto it, as well as other kids can push it and ride it. Most of us probably rode on a merry-go-round back in the day, but this is the modern-day equivalent, and it's accessible. You'll see this other little structure over here. Because this playground was intentionally designed for those who have sensory disorders, as well as those who have maybe a physical disability, you need to create what they call a quiet zone. So if they just get a little overwhelmed by the kids, there's something for them to go and just kind of bring themselves back down. And then within that, there's different little things, especially if they might be autistic or have sensory challenge. There's little switches they can flip or something like that, just some of those things that help calm them down. Then there is a smaller panel here. These two elements really don't have what we call a safety zone around them, which is why the spinner is sitting so far away from the rest of the play structure here. That's because whenever you got anything spinning, there's a fairly substantial safety zone around that so that other kids can't accidentally run into it and get caught between the spinner, etc. This shows, just because of the software that the playground manufactures, your surface will actually be more of a green and black. But when we tried to do the green, it came out light green and didn't look like it was anything. And when we tried to put the black in, it turned all black. So John actually has a sample of the mix that'll be involved in that. And we call it a 60-40 green-black blend, because if you ever have to come back and repair it, it makes it simple long-term to come back in, where if it's a solid color, a patch is much more noticeable. That's like way down the road. But what you can see here is there's lots of different elements within this. This is a gliding type of apparatus, so if you're on a wheelchair or whatever, but the motion carries you back and forth. There's what we call a roller slide up at this particular one here. That is a very quiet, and it's much slower than your typical slide like we're all used to. And that's, again, because of the sensory, and that was kind of, as I worked with John and staff and with the playground reps, we recognize we have other slides, we have other climbers, we have other play structures that provide height and excitement, but this one is a different kind, and it's lower, and the ramps and everything somebody can get to with their wheelchair, et cetera. So we just got this 3D image in, and by the time we got the colors kind of swapped around with staff's input, this is kind of where this is at. We anticipate that installation would start in the fall of this year. So happy to answer any questions you might have related to it, but like everything, with that wonderful thing called COVID, there's a lot of back order, and by the time you get all the pieces and equipment in, it'll take a couple months. So
Deb, did you say what that was actually made out of?
the structure itself, the surface, it's a poured-in-place surfacing, so there'll be.
So it's very similar to what the, out at South Side as far as the. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a no-fall surface, you can roll right across it. Now, it's not.
That'll basically just go over the concrete itself.
It's not concrete underneath, it's gravel.
It is gravel.
It is crushed stone.
53s?
It's a combination of 53s, and then the lower section's actually some number 2s to help with drainage and get the drainage out from under.
John, and maybe I'm overstating as far as with Deb, but the structures that we have out at Southside, is that, are those handicap? I mean, I know that there's like a ramp or something out there. I mean, this look somewhat the same?
They're similar, excuse me, but those were 1980 version.
Okay.
And there used to be a camp or a ramp, but it was made out of wood. Had to be taken apart.
So nothing out there is ADA compliant at this point?
Nothing is ADA compliant, yeah. This will be the only one that we have. We do have, we had a couple of swing sets that were ancient and torn up on a regular basis, and yeah, we removed those from both parks. I tried it when I first came in with a handicap accessible sidewalk to them, and
I remember that.
yeah, those
They were blue, weren't they? Like
you can
little
actually have a
blue?
wheelchair in them for
Right,
swings,
right.
and they just got torn up. This will be identified and also have a fencing around it with benches inside.
Cool.
Gated, so the autistic or what have you can pretty well corralled and.
Oh, that's
won't
exciting.
have to chase them all over.
Yep.
And it's like Deb said, we have all the other structures. This will be designated for the younger crowd too. Once you get past eight years old, you want to be playing with the big guys, so you want to keep that on an appropriate level. And I think it's going to be fantastic. This black doesn't do it justice.
No, it really doesn't. You can look at that green and know that it'll look more green than it does black, which John and I thought in the long term, because we could switch the green and blues around within the structures. We were trying to create some contrast, but also from the maintenance, when you use lighter colors like yellows and reds, they fade and they show the dirt so badly. So
Yeah.
we were really trying to find just something that helped John and the crew from a long-term maintenance perspective. So
A question, is this covering the extended area that we requested from the board or from council? Is this,
Again, extended area,
we had,
we actually made it larger.
Right.
And we're spending a little bit more money because
And
we
it's on
only
the-
we asked them for an appropriation about
Right.
$250,000, and this will, again, cover
And that's for
everything's-
this, right?
Everything's gone up, tripled.
Okay.
So it'll probably be well into the 5-6 number, probably.
no, we've done good, John.
Yeah, I know. She's great. She's saved us money.
I would say it's probably, we still have some site work to do, so we still have the concrete, we need to do some grading over there, and that will be done by a separate contractor. But this portion of the work, that what you're seeing there, the surfacing, all the play structure and all that, that is about $300,000.
Okay.
So then by the time we get the other site work done, the fencing done, John's got a little bit of internal, the old water fountain that's out there?
yes,
Okay, well, the edge of the sidewalk's right on the water fountain, John's like, don't worry about that, I can move
Yeah.
there. So, we've got some of those miscellaneous kind of things to do, so I really think, I know John's desire was to bring it in under 500, and I think we should be really close to that. It's just hard to know right now, with things going up and down so much,
Well, it looks really good. I just
Yeah.
wondered if this was
And that's-
covering all the extra area that we wanted.
Yeah, that poured in place is over $26 a square foot. And
right.
originally, it was 2,300, I think, square feet, what we were gonna have.
We're about 4,000 now.
Yeah, we almost doubled it. We marked it off and said this isn't gonna cut it, because even your fall zone wouldn't allow you to
Right.
put anything in that spot.
No.
It's like, okay, if we're gonna do it, let's do it right.
In fact,
and
if we
spend a
go-
little more now.
We go back one slide here.
It looks,
Yeah,
looks,
you can see you see these outer bubble edges? That's what we call the safety zone.
it looks really nice.
So what John and I did was we tried to maximize all the play value we could get in as compact a space as we could, because the surfacing's $100,000 of that
Right.
$300,000.
I know.
So,
It's so
so we were trying to
expensive.
minimize the surfacing to get you the maximum play value for the dollar, so. And then just a quick update on the lighting project. John, we've pretty much narrowed down the lights and the fixtures, the poles, the fluted poles, very similar to what you've seen downtown. We've got 14 foot around the pathway, 20 foot in some of the auxiliary. We're not doing all of the parking lots, but we are improving
Right.
a few where it's logical to do it as a part of this project, because we'll have to feed the wiring, et cetera. So the drawings at this point are about 60% done. I just touched base with the electrical engineer today. We're working, just kind of checking in, because we're coordinating with utilities on where the new transformer and costs associated with them. And John, we've discussed, much like the playground, purchasing those lights directly from the manufacturer through the program that's available to do that for municipalities. So
Okay,
that saves you
good.
money.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
So, and it also helps us with timeline, so,
Okay.
because we can get the order placed once we know how many lights and all those things we
Right.
need. And then we can get that started so they can start production, because that's what takes so long, so.
Right, I am.
So we're moving along, and we anticipate that both of them will probably be under construction in the fall. And that's probably going to work really well, because then you won't have the water park open and everything all at the same time, and trying to have construction and people crawling everywhere on top of
Right.
fences and all that, so.
Yeah, that sounds good. I think we were hoping to have everything going in the fall and done. So that's two
Yeah, with the
huge,
amount of the events, and the 4th of July is a
Yeah.
beast, along with
Oh,
the
no.
pool. A lot of these things, we got the Cancer Society benefit, we have all these different events that go on, and we're trying, Lincoln Days, we're trying to time it so those
Right.
aren't interfered with, and we don't have a torn up park. Is it gonna be torn up? Heck, yeah, well, the playground already is, but we're trying to be as friendly to all
Yeah.
these events as we can. Everybody wants out this year, so.
but this is good.
Trying to be
This,
sensitive, but
Right.
also really get you set up for the future, so.
right, these are two major projects that, we discussed with the council, and you're right on it. And the playground looks great. I love it. Everybody else, I think it's great. I don't know how many parks would have something like this, but I'd say a lot more should.
Well,
But,
I think it's especially important that it's right here in the middle of your main park, where all of your other, really, some of your unique play pieces are. So there's something for everybody, and as a multi-generational, families, grandparents, everybody can utilize it, and I think it's really going to be a successful, exciting project when it's all done. So
oh, I think it's great. Thank you.
you're very
Deb,
welcome.
quick question for you.
Yeah.
So as far as the expanding that, like in the future, if we ever decided to expand that, if the expansion's needed, that's pretty easy to do in regards to, okay.
Yeah, what we did for right now is we were fitting it within the other elements, and we're relocating that one, what is it, the Mommy and Me swing? John's gonna move that, because we decided it was much easier to move around swings within some of the open area. And the truth of the matter is, if you would just,
And the drinking fountain and anything else, we can move them.
and the beauty of it is that you can really come back later. Let's say you wanted to do another pod, or then we could just literally take down the fence in one section, tie it into the concrete, create another
Right.
wing to it, if you will. and connect them and just move the fence out, so.
But there would be no way of us adding anything to the existing that you're doing right now? I mean, there's no room,
Not really,
we're not
no.
looking at, okay.
Unless you
Okay.
had,
If
in
you
fact,
start moving big structures,
Yeah.
then you're talking some expense that I really wouldn't want to take that on. I want professionals in to move
Right.
this equipment, because the mommy and me swing sets and things like that, but that spider structure and some of the others, I wouldn't want to.
But-
Can we go different locations? Sure can, there's
What,
plenty.
what I didn't explain my question. So what, I guess where I'm going is if we decided to add to what we're looking at right now, you can't add to it because of the ADA and everything as far as the
gonna
span
have-
that you have to have. So there's nothing that we can
So
do
for
as far as
example-
swings to add to that or,
we looked at,
Oh, on that size now.
yeah, we.
yeah, okay, and that's
Not on
where,
that
that's where I was
side.
going. Okay,
In
all right,
fact,
cool.
that swings take up so much surface that we had a long conversation about if we put swings in, what else are we sacrificing?
Sure.
And it meant we were sacrificing room out of the,
Yeah, every bit of, half of it is,
Okay.
the fall zone is just.
Just looking for the future. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, I just,
the easiest way to add on to it would be to create another, what I would call pod, move your fence back out. And that was the other reason John and I talked about a chain link fence would look good, it would handle damage. It's easy to add on to that later and add just a whole nother pod with your sidewalk.
Okay.
And now you've got two components and you just expand it and you could replace other swings. And in fact, I would probably go to the north if I was
Yeah.
expanding it, so.
Okay, cool.
And plus, it's close to the parking lot and I think that's the other beauty of it. so.
right, right, okay.
For lots of people.
Everything, yeah.
So, all right, well, we'll keep you posted.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Sounds good.
I'll just, no, you're good, thank you. No, Deb's put a lot of time in this, I think we'd met at midnight,
That was for what?
yeah, it's,
I
we
made
see
him walk the park
joggers.
at night.
It's, and Camp Street's probably gonna be our biggest challenge, I think, at Memorial Park. That's just what I feel. They already have some existing light, we have to stay within the city ordinance and can't have the candlelights running off and we wanna
the houses.
be good neighbors, so, yeah, that's,
Pipeline's the biggest.
and then there's a gas line, yeah, there's a gas line that goes right down that side of Camp Street, so.
Wow.
That's our challenge. The back 40, we probably want to be doing a lot of lighting back there because we're going to expand. I mean, we're expanding the pool in our near future. The contract's in the attorney's hands right now, so as soon as he gets the contract, we'll start that process and, look at our expansion, and I think that's where we're going to expand. I think we're all in agreement that's where we're going back at the back 40 back there where the pickleball courts are. But just want to thank Deb for all the many meetings that we've had, and she's been found on a Saturday and Sunday just up and looking at the playground and has her muck boots on and going through the mud. And I'm serious, a lot of attention, and I thank you, Deb, for all that hard work. But also asphalt, we completed all the asphalt in June. This is also the old business. From the baseball, or top of the hill at the baseball at Memorial Park, all the way to the parking lot. We also had it striped. There again, what we have left are the basketball courts at Memorial Park, the walking path at Memorial Park, and youth football exit at Abner. If you drive out of the youth football, you'll know because you fall off the side of that cliff. Steve's going to get out here soon to take care of that before the season fires up. And it's going to fire up here this month. The lighting project, Deb already has explained the majority of all that. The playground project also, Cornerstone, Deb is taking care of that. The cabin update, Log Doctor's out of Tennessee. We've rescheduled several times due to weather. They're putting chinking in around the cabin, and I don't want that chinking to run. If so, we'd have to pay more to come back out and redo. I'm not going to go through that, so I'm holding them accountable for the weather and everything. So when they come up, they're doing the inside and the outside. We had several dates blocked off for them, and unfortunately, I didn't want them around the 4th, and I think that was the driest weather we had there. The hot pond, I don't know if you've noticed, but we've had riprap rock placed around the banks that were eroding, so Those are our major things. I guess we can talk about if you'd like to, there's some bright green, safety green going from the top of the hill at Memorial Park at that new asphalt going all the way down to the bottom of the hill. That is a bike pedestrian safety green. They use it in Westfield, Carmel. I've seen it there. Boy, I saw that and I'd just like to fall over when I saw the coating go on. That's the first coat. There is a top coat that goes on and some kind of clear coating on top of it. Before we put the final coating on, I'd like everybody's input on what we should do with that. I had a lot of positive, you walk the park every day, you've all seen it. I'd love your input on what I should go forward with. I've had all kinds of friends tell me they saw planes circling Memorial Park because they thought it was a landing zone. So I've had every joke that way too. But I'd like to know what your thoughts were. That's the first coat. What I'm trying to do is make people stay on that path to walk down, stay out of the road. We've expanded the road by 8 feet. That way there's no place in the park that anybody can get run over being out in the road. They have access to be safe all the way around. Same thing with the lighting project. It's about people's safety. So I can paint it any color. We've saved up all the old picnic table 2x10 boards that were on there. They're old, however, they're going to make great flower boxes, about, 20 inches tall or so, a little bit higher than that. Put wave petunias during the summer and light it up in between the walking path and the road. That way it'll be identified, there'll be a few reflectors, but I think it'll look really pretty other than the cones that we have out there and the barricades. I did that just, again, to try and corral people and get them muscle memory to walk on our walking paths. That was the thought process behind that. And I'd love to hear your input and what direction you'd like me to go with the coating on top. Any suggestions?
Well, the first time, when I drove by the first time, I was like, wow.
Yeah, I thought I was fired, to be quite honest. I thought, oh my God, how can I turn this black right away? Yeah, I really did.
But then-
What a beautiful park, and I just ruined it anyway.
No, you didn't, no. But then, I mean, the more I drove by, it looked like it just kind of settled a little bit. I don't know if I was just used to it, but I think everybody should drive through the park even at night, because I think it's not a bad thing at night, and people are walking out there at dusk. I don't think it's that bad, but that's me.
I don't like it.
I haven't seen it yet, I haven't been out.
It's by the baseball, it's by the baseball.
It's bright.
It's bright, but it's there to make
I've
us.
heard, let's get a black light down there and put some peace and signs, and we'll go back to the 60s and have a dance party, so.
The one
it's
thing,
like-
the one thing I think that should be done, regardless of what color it is, I think it should continue from where it stops all the way over to the sidewalk in front of the maintenance thing, if that's possible. I mean.
Yeah, no, it is. I
Because
had
I
to
don't-
stop there because, especially when I saw it green. It was
Well,
like,
yeah,
oh my
I
goodness.
agree. I think, and I respect what Lori says. I mean, I do think it's, it does stand out and it does kind of make it go woo.
Yeah.
I personally think it would be neat to have it the same color as the water towers.
The
Just to
blue.
kind
The dark-
of, just to
but
kind of
that does-
stay, yeah.
You mean
just-
like this?
Mhm.
But that's so dark.
Yeah, but I don't know, I mean, it's still going to be a
What color
segregation.
is it now?
Navy blue. They just painted the one back here, it's navy
No,
blue.
what?
Kind of the color
It's
of the
green.
flag.
It's
Like lime green.
Yeah, it's
What were
bright.
the options? Were there other colors that they offered?
Yeah, he can put tints to it, because as soon as he did that, I said, how quick can you get tin? The other ones, the coating, he was going to try and match the tennis court colors, the green. Of course, they're blue right now, the water tower colors. The basketball court's green. I'm colorblind, I'll just tell you, so I thought, I didn't know it was that bright green. But no, seriously, I have no preference. People tend to like it. I'll just tell you, 99% of the people, there's been a letter to the editor. It's probably not one of my choices, to be quite honest, but we have such a beautiful park, I don't want to ruin it. I don't know, we can go with this color, we can coat it, we can do whatever.
seen
I
it?
just don't
Oh, yeah.
think the directional, people walking I was thinking of putting white markings down walking. I don't think people will get that, and I have to define the area. And that's the only thing that I was after, is
What
to
did you,
define it.
Jeff?
No, I agree. I think that it definitely needs to be a different color if you want people to learn that that's what it's for.
Yeah.
And, my husband even asked, why are the cones there? That doesn't look very good. I'm like, to keep the drivers off of it for now until they
just to
know that.
muscle memory or get people in the pattern to walk it.
Right.
And no, I hated the cones too, but I don't have those flower boxes.
No,
If we
yeah,
get
and that's
rain
what-
days, I can bang out
They're
5 or
temporary.
10 of them, but we don't have that done. We have a couple prototypes that, we went 3 high and it was way too high, top heavy, because you got to think about kids knocking them over and all that. I think 2 high, about 20 inches is going to be just right with a couple reflectors. They'll get vandalized, but I'd rather them hit those. I don't like the orange cones that we have with some of these stop signs. They had them around Harney for a while. They have them out on Elm Swamp and Elizaville Road. I think those that get run over and destroyed
Right.
in a heartbeat, that'd be a great Friday night, fun time to knock them down. So I'm thinking of that too. I think if they hit these flower boxes, they're going to know it. And I surely
Well-
like that too.
Well, do you
But,
think if we, toned it down some? I mean,
Yeah.
I know what you're saying, John, and
I
I
can give you a few color
respect
charts
that.
from the Triangle Asphalt. I'll do that. He's got a tent, whatever we have, because he has 15 more gallons or 17, 27, whatever he's got of that bike safety or bike pedestrian safety green. He has those. But I'm sure you can tint it like your regular paints.
Right.
I'm not positive. I'm sure hoping so, or I just put a lot of paint.
Well, why don't, it seems like consensus to look into that.
Okay.
I'm really afraid the navy blue isn't going to stand out enough on the black. I'm afraid, I understand what you're saying with the water towers, but that,
I get it, aesthetics and trying to coordinate all the colors, the light
Yeah,
poles.
but it's
I get
awfully
that
dark.
idea. Yeah.
But if it matched something else that was out there, like you said, the tennis courts or another
Yeah.
paint color that's already on the ground, I think that would, instead of introducing a whole nother color, because we're getting ready to put in the new building or the climbing equipment, and it's going to be different colors too. So
Yes.
just incorporating maybe a color that's already out there
Okay.
instead of
Deb?
something new.
I do a lot of bike safety work. I wouldn't want to go too dark because you're trying to outline it, but your new playground surface is going to be a medium green color, so tone down. And I actually don't think it's that bad. I told John.
could you come up? They can't, that's okay, they can't hear.
Yeah, I
I'm
can't even hear
sorry.
them down there
I was
when
going to
they
keep my
talk.
mouth shut, but John and I talked about it because I was out there the day they were putting it down, and he was panicking, and
I
I'm
know,
going,
he does that.
as a person who deals with bike and ped safety and designs bike trails, what I would tell you is, I don't think it's the end of the world to leave it that bright, because it's going to fade. And then when it fades, everybody will be used to it by then.
Yeah.
Then you can come back with a more sedate green or yellow-green color. If you really wanted it to match something, then I think even a medium green would still, probably because your new playground surface, your basketball courts, I think are green. So if you try, as Mrs. Lawler was saying, trying to keep it in that same color plane, but you're trying to train people to do something new. And in a park, that's always the hardest thing, especially when you're separating vehicles from pedestrians. So the extra flower boxes that John's going to put in, and I totally agree with the cones, but it's what he's saying. You got to get people used to it. They get used to it all being there, and then you can tone it down.
Make it pretty.
Because it's going to fade. It always does. But then when it fades, you don't have to come back in with it as bright. So if that's simpler, just to
Okay.
get people used to it.
I don't-
Or you could just tone it down another tone, shade. I don't think, just from a safety standpoint, because I deal with the Manual of Uniform Traffic Safety Standards for highway departments, blue would not be your color from a safety perspective. I totally get it from an aesthetic perspective.
yeah.
But right now, you're trying to really highlight it and separate it, so
So
that's
if we just leave it and then tone it down to match the courts.
And I like staying with the natural color. I mean, you're dealing with a park. A blue I mean, what would that have to do with matching the water tower?
I mean, I've seen some communities, they'll use
I don't know why.
that light blue, medium blue you see for ADA spaces. They'll sometimes do that because they've already got somebody out there that's got that paint in their truck.
Yeah.
We know how this happens.
I like the green idea.
One of the city
darker
departments is
green,
helping the other
yeah.
one, so.
Because this is,
But-
yeah.
I would say just leave it then for now and see what happens.
I'll do whatever, but it's just,
I would tone it down another shade or two if you want to tone it down, but right now you're trying to get people used to it.
So they'll
And
notice
you've got
it,
so
yeah.
much traffic that comes in and out with your
They
festivals.
do.
I think that's the advantage right now. It really makes it stand out. It makes you pay attention and go, I'm not supposed to be on this. So,
there you go, that's my great
Feel
green
better?
color. Yeah. And the reason I stopped it, John, your question, down at the end of the baseball, I thought they could release to the parking lot, and that way they're over there, and I was afraid of our trucks go in and out of all those barns, and I was
Yeah.
afraid of just boogering it out, to be quite honest. And I don't know, just trying to get them on that side of the road, and you walk it, you see them all the time, they're still walking in the road
Right.
everywhere, so at least we have that definition for them to, stay one side or the other. There you go. So I'll tone it down, is that the census? That work?
We let it fade down a little bit and
Yes.
then turn it down.
Okay, all right, that'll work. And that's all I had for old business.
Okay.
Okay.
You
new
want
bus-
to- you
New
want-
business, do you want, yeah, with new business, I don't know if you have it on your agenda, but there's a Bud Wiry and Lynn Wilson that would like to speak about the property on Noble E Street. Where we are on that, that's the property that we actually swapped the property with the Lebanon Utilities. They're putting a water plant in the northwest corner of Abner Longley. In that, they gave us the property that they had purchased under the KV 69 at Noble Street. And they've surveyed it and marked all the lines, everything. It is, spoke to utilities today, and I believe within 2 weeks it should be demolished, and they'll bring it back to level as far as that goes, fill in all the dirt and do all that. But as far as the asbestos and all that, Raised Trash will be handling the demolition, and they'll take care of all that. I think Ms. Wilson's questions were, what are we going to do with the property? What I told her is Deb Schmucker is working on a 5-year master plan with us and getting all our input on what we'll be doing in the next 5 years, the projects we have. We're getting caught up on a lot of older projects that have been going on for 20 years, or in the process for the last 15 anyway. So I said, I don't know. I know there's a bike pedestrian trail that is scheduled to go in back of their properties there, hugging the KV 69. As far as that property, we don't have any idea what we're going to do. Possibly a parking lot, another access to get into the youth football field. There's no way you can drive around it, but it could be a possible trailhead there. Hard telling what we could do with that property. It's quite a bit of space, but as of now, I don't think any of us have any idea, and I went ahead and spoke for all of you, but I don't think we have any design projects for that property, and I don't have any in the future. We can discuss that at length for, other meetings whenever you'd like to discuss it, and I know that we should probably think about that for our 5-year master plan.
Right.
Of what we're going to do with that property. But with that, I don't know if Mr. Bud Wiry, is he in the room? Would he like to speak, or any questions? Excuse, oh, he wasn't? How about Mr. Wilson? Is that, would you like to speak, or
I've got two things I want to bring up.
That'd be great, yeah, if you want to come up and give your name to the park board. And I know this is a little off agenda from the original one I sent you, and I'm sorry for the late notice.
That's okay.
Well, like I said, John, my name is Lynn Wilson. I live next door to the property they're talking about demolishing. And the rumor came up about a parking lot. Well, I talked to quite a few neighbors, a couple of them, and we're really against it. You know, putting a parking lot in there. But he said, you have no decision yet.
Right.
So, is there any ideas at all what you're going to do with it besides the parking lot? Any other decision?
Honestly, we're waiting, we're going to have Deb, our 5-year plan is due, and have Deb look at that with the surrounding parks around it. But, you know, we want your input, and we can put those things in, saying this is what you really don't want, you know, things we want you to express what we know. I know the trail's going back there, so
Trail as far as where exactly?
it goes in, it'll go in back of those properties all along there.
Talking about what used to be the Conservation Club? Or,
John, you want to tell,
I'll
yeah,
be able to help you a little bit. Nothing is totally lined out, but yes, that will be coming off.
from the Conservation
Yeah, what
Club
we're
through
doing is
there.
Connecting the Big Four Trail, and the Big Four Trail comes from downtown, goes down South Meridian Street, cuts over here at the municipal, right out here, and then it goes down Southeast Street. There's a piece of property we purchased on Southeast Street. It'll come there, that's how it connects to Abner. Then it'll take a left, hook along the youth football field, and go right down KB 69, the lines that are there. That's what the projected trail is gonna be. And then it'll hug the Conservation Club, connect over Hendricks Drive, the corner of Hendricks, go right by that water plant that they're planning on putting in, and connect in there, and then go out there.
so you're talking mainly going by the football field?
By the football field, yes.
In my backyard, right now, there's a fence from the Conservation Club where the dog park is located.
Correct.
It runs straight down to the football field.
Yes, it does.
So you're not talking about tearing down that fence or doing anything like that?
Not at this point, no, there's no plans for that. I know the planning department's working on it, Derek Warren, he's in the planning department. We just got a grant from the state to do all this connectivity through town. You've probably seen survey stakes, have you not seen those in back of the house?
Up and down?
Yeah, I know, there's been so much activity when they were cutting all those trees and, yeah, all that. Needless to say, that is what the plan is to go. I wish I had a map for you or something, I don't have any of that, but.
Every time I go out to cut grass, I'm finding new stakes, and then next time they're gone, and I find blue paint, you know, so forth.
Yeah, and that's, I think Judy is your wife, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she had called me and asked me about what's going on there, and I said, I really haven't talked to utilities. I did call utilities, I believe she has too, and it's in their hands. We don't get it handed to the Parks Department until, our contract was, until they demolish the building and hand it over to us with everything graded and on the site. So, yeah, the parking lot has been discussed. I can't say that it has, and that's what I thought, but now hearing your input, I think everybody's open to different ideas.
So I think it
What works for everybody.
Well, we're looking at bringing our property value down.
Yeah.
You know, when I moved there,
There was a house.
there was a house,
Yeah.
we had 4 sets of neighbors, you know, 4 different neighbors move in and out, and we got along great with them.
Yeah.
Now the house is empty, and I'm not looking forward to a parking lot where I'm gonna have activity, people coming and going, you know, where I can raise my bedroom window, and I've got all kinds of activity going, people parking and so forth.
Are you on the east or the west side?
I'm just east of it.
Okay.
In fact, from
And
my
KB
house,
69 runs on the west side of that property, pretty close to that other gentleman's house on the right, I believe, or on the west side. That KB
Right.
69, because they put the KB 69 in kind of the open lot area in between the two houses is what, yeah. And, yeah, we're trying to connect from downtown to get all the way through Abner, so that is the concern, so.
I mean, if it was left grass in the trail, I mean, probably live with that.
Yeah.
But my main concern is, I mean, it's approximately roughly 12 feet from my house to the driveway, you know, it's next door. And 12 feet, I mean, really, you hear that wall, I mean, basically. And, you know, it's hardly any room at all if you're gonna build a parking lot or any other structure or something like that on that property.
John, to be honest with you, this is the first I've heard about a parking lot. I mean, I've heard
Oh,
about an entrance and an exit, you know, that kind of thing, but I've not heard about a parking lot.
Work on cars, I think he'd love us for anyway.
Why don't we, since we are having Deb Schmucker, look, because she does all our planning for our parks, why don't we relay this to her?
Absolutely.
That the neighbors prefer it not to be a parking lot, because that was discussed at one time.
I stand with Judy and anybody else around there, I mean, we're good neighbors, it's just.
Yeah,
like this lighting.
yeah, we don't want to be
Everybody
bad
on
neighbors.
camp and you
Absolutely,
and I,
no.
Hey, we're putting lighting in there, I want them to be aware of what we're doing and
Yeah.
we're good neighbors.
But as of this
As of
point,
this point, we don't even
we
know.
don't know, because Deb, but what we can do is relay your concerns to Deb as she does the planning, if that's okay, and then we can get back with you once her plan gets put into place and we see. We can do that. We can relay your concerns to her as she does the planning for our parks. Because-
That's what I'd like to see is, you know, some kind of notice, as soon as you know, you have an idea what you're gonna do. You know, like a few of the neighbors I've talked to, the only reason I found out is that we had to see a lot of activity next door, utility trucks coming and going, and I just had to go next door and, being nosy, ask.
What you doing?
Yeah, what's going on here?
Okay, well, I mean, when we get the master plan in place, we're going to present it, and we can notify you, we can make a note in the record to make sure we notify you and the neighbors when we're ready to present the plan or when something's coming up with it. Yeah, we're not going to do some.
Be sure to have him put his name and address.
As far as property
Yeah,
value.
I've got it.
Oh, absolutely.
And activity. I mean, it's kind of a peaceful neighborhood.
Right. And we understand it. We don't want to be bad neighbors, as John said. The property, it just was worked out with the utilities that they had it and couldn't do anything with it, and we.
Yeah, as I said, we still don't have ownership. I didn't know anything till Judy, or I'm sorry, your wife called and said, hey, what's all these stakes, what stakes, what do you talk about?
Yeah, they're doing
I
locates.
haven't been notified either, and we're getting the property, so a little communication.
Is it 811 that's doing locates? Or is it?
Well, I think Artie was the.
Well, it would be, they would have had to contact 811 for gas and all, and
It said blue paint, which is water, so I thought maybe that they were actually just doing.
they're locating.
There's been site work done too with the bike pedestrian trail that is planned to go KV. Even though the easement is owned by utilities, I think they're willing to let us share it to put the bike pedestrian trail back there. And that's, I think, were you aware of any of that?
No.
Yeah.
Well,
Is that
that's-
gonna mean tearing down the fence or leaving that fence up?
No, they wouldn't.
The fence is, there again, I don't know whose property and I don't know, as details come out, that needs to be.
Yeah, we need to
There again,
know more about that. We'll get with
We
Derek.
don't own that property. Again, the utility owns it, and it's one of those, yeah, I know enough to be dangerous, I guess you could say, but that is being done by Derek, or the planning department is planning they got the grant money from the state with $3 million to put the bike pedestrian trail back there. And, yeah, you need to know about that stuff, and I think you will if there's any encroachment or any easements that they would need to.
Well, we need to know also, because that'll enter into the plan of what we do with the
And I
property,
think
too.
it's been several months since Kevin spoke about that when he came before you and talked about bike pedestrian, didn't he just briefly touch on it?
Yeah, but we need to see the map,
Yeah.
so we could get with Derek and
All I
get,
can do is get your number, which I have, and call you or Judy, and
Yeah, we can see a map of where.
Right.
and everybody,
Lines
that's-
out,
have all the
and get
neighbors
where
together.
that-
I think that'd be good. I see several in the audience that I'm sure they're wanting to know what's going on too, so.
yeah.
Not to, I mean, we really don't know ourselves, quite frankly, exactly what the plan is.
No, we don't.
We have an idea, but we'll get that addressed.
But we'll definitely communicate, and we'll communicate your concerns to Deb as she does moves forward at that, but we'll definitely communicate with you.
Yeah. Yeah, just like when we had the land swap, I think you probably got registered mail from the office saying that there was a land swap going on or something was affecting, because you back up to the property, so that's a legal thing that we have to notify all the neighbors, that we have an open public hearing so you can discuss it. This is not, it's really not an open public hearing, but we want your input. And when Judy called me, I said, oh, yeah, you're welcome to come to the park board, when she called me about a month ago. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
she didn't come, so there she's sitting, she's in the better half, there you go.
She's very, well, in fact, she's running, or helping run the fair right now, so that's what she's doing.
Okay. Any other questions or anything for the park board?
Not that I think, until we know more what, what's in,
Okay.
what's planned out. We'd heard a lot of rumors going on.
A lot of things went off in my mind, and there again, I thought parking, quite frankly, I'll just tell you, so if the parking rumor probably came from me. It really did, and
Yeah, they got some blood boiling.
Okay, well, I'm sorry, that's great, that and the green paint, I'm just.
Yeah, you're batting 1,000 there, John.
And we also heard before there was going to be a trail along that fence line in the back of my property. And we didn't care too much for the idea of people, basically, right now I've got people cutting through my yard, and they cut through that 501.
That's what I heard, they cut through there to get to the football field. So I
Right.
thought, okay, we put parking. Well, we also own the property on the other side of Mr. Timmons, old John King's property over there. We bought those, we're keeping those upkeep. We haven't cut any trees down or anything yet, and I'd kind of like to cut them down. But that needs cleaned up too, but that's another access that we can put a parking lot or something. I don't know, there's no plans.
No.
We own the property, we're pretty much just mowing it right now and keeping it down. And we'll do the same thing, we'll maintain that property. When we mow down the football field, we'll be taking care of that property, and I think we can take care of make it look good anyway. And we're pretty good at it.
That's basically all I have until we find out more what's going on.
Right.
We just want to make sure we're kept abreast of, so
Oh,
forth.
sure,
So I say
absolutely.
we have an open, meeting at some point in time, and we will have those discussions when we go through the master plan
Correct.
process. I know we have at least 1 to 3 open public hearings, and I'll get a hold of Judy, and maybe you can spread the word or what have you, because we announce them and we publish them in the paper, and we do all the proper things that the government's got to do, but that's the only notification that I know how to do. Okay. Am I right? I
Yeah.
don't think we send out,
Yeah, but we'll make
That'll be
sure.
happening probably at the end of October, November, right in there, when we can all discuss that. And
Yeah,
we
it's,
want-
nothing will happen, nothing's gonna happen quickly.
Oh, that's
on that,
not, there's
no.
nothing happened yet, but, not until we have a plan.
I think we definitely need the input from the neighbors, and also, their concern,
It's
and,
not mine, it's
Yeah.
not yours. it's
Well,
not
I
yours.
wondered if anybody else in the audience wanted to,
Thank you very much for speaking.
Yes,
okay.
Mr. Timmons, you gonna speak? Come on up. Chad Timmons, everybody, is in the house. Yeah.
My name is Chad Timmons. My wife Michelle, my son, and my daughter-in-law Caitlin. We own Timmons Feed and Farm on Noble Street. My wife and I were having a discussion on the way up here. Thank you for all the things you've done on the south side of Lebanon. The park is phenomenal. We have customers come in. I told John we had a customer come in today. It was not the south side, but the splash pool up at the Memorial Park. She said, it's phenomenal, right? She said, your community just doesn't understand how nice your parks are. So I want to say thank you. And I want you guys to know that Timmons Feed and Farm wants to be part of that, right? We want to be a good neighbor too. Unfortunately, we're probably your stumbling block. We know that. We want to work with you on that. We want to try to come to an equitable agreement for everybody. And we want to improve our community. Because Lebanon's it's on the upswing. It's been a great community to us for the last 10 years, and we want to try to improve that. So, no hostilities, we're not mad. We just want to try to work the best we can with you, to improve the south side of Lebanon, which you guys are doing. So I just wanted that to be said. Again, maybe we didn't know what we were doing tonight, but I mean, again, I just want to thank you for the opportunity to come and say that. That if there's questions from John's been extremely, his communication with me has been great. So if there's any questions on about what we can do to help this process, let me know. So if you have any questions of us, I'd be happy to try to answer some.
Thank you very much for
Yeah,
that.
thanks for coming.
I mean, we don't hear that, the Parks Department doesn't hear that enough, so
How great a job you guys are doing.
they don't hear it enough.
Well, I told you that when I got here. I mean, sometimes I'll eat lunch in Memorial Park, I'll grab something to eat there, and our community is a fantastic community. And again, we want to be part of the solution to continue that, not stop that.
Same here, same here.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad your family's living here too, isn't it?
Well, they're the next generation, they're the future.
He didn't say anything about the green, John. At the park.
I saw it today.
And that, I think, is, I just wanted y'all to hear.
No, that's
Sorry, it's kind
fine.
of out of line, but I think we need to hear, you want to hear from the public. That's what we're about.
Absolutely, we do.
Yeah.
I mean, we want to hear the people. In fact, we want to be a good neighbor, and we want
And
to
I'll do
utilize the
my-
land in the best way we can.
I'll do my best to let everybody know when we have the open public hearing for the master plan, so we get their input, because that's what it's about. We won't.
It is, absolutely.
We'll get the things we want, and we want everybody happy. It's a great place, as Chad said. And that's it for old business, or
Okay.
new business, or whatever business. Monkey business.
So you want to finish your director's report now?
Yes.
Or anybody else? I should ask if anybody else
You
wanted
don't
to.
want to speak?
Not really.
Okay.
We don't bite.
I'm the quiet neighbor.
There you go. I do appreciate you coming and
Yes,
your
thank you.
input, and we all need to hear it, I seriously, because it does affect you. 12 feet away from
Timing
you.
on the trail, do you know that, we didn't actually know about the trail going in, do you know the timing on the trail?
I don't, no, I really don't. I know it's in the planning stage, the trail is in the planning stage.
Right, it really is,
I know
Derek.
that we have an idea of where it's going. We've had a couple meetings with DLZ, I believe, is the one that is doing the planning, actual engineering firm. They're doing the site work where all the stakes are going all the way down south side. I know it's going to be a 10-foot sidewalk. I don't think there's any encroachment or any property that they're going to have to take other than between the sidewalk and the curb. There's plenty of room. Probably be some trees that'll have to go down, just like it was. If you know the trail that comes from down East Street, Northeast Street, and connects to downtown, and the one going out Main Street going out to Patterson, it's going to be a similar look with lighting and all that, I believe. That's all being looked at. I'm sure there will be a rollout meeting or something. But as far as input, you could call your planner, Ben Bonnetrager, and he could probably give you more information. Derek Warren's spearheading it, I believe.
I was
along
going
with
to say,
Kevin.
or Derek, and they could possibly give them a better idea since
Yeah, Derek
they're.
was on the park board, served quite a few years, and when he went off the park board, he's really jumped into trails. It's a lot. We have all the way from Thorntown. It actually goes to Colfax, but we maintain from Sarum Plant Road all the way through town. That's the Parks Department's responsibility. Clearing the trees, all that. So
We could
plowing
give
the
them-
snow plowing the snow in the winter. That's something that I kind of need to also know, because I need to budget, ice melt and equipment and all those, and help, to be quite frank, because that's
Could we
gonna
give
add-
them, we could give them Derek's number,
Yeah,
or we
I
could
will
give.
after the meeting, if that's all right. I'll give you Derek Warren's number, and that's probably the man to call.
Yeah, because we really need to see some mapping on that
Yeah,
also.
and we need informed too. And I know I've been to a couple meetings, but nothing has we're close to details, but nothing finalized. If that helps, did that answer? That help you? Okay, all right. All righty. Get back, Director's Report, Seashore Waterpark had a busy month of June. We're back to opening at our full capacity. We went from yellow to blue, I think, last week. So we got to take our inner tubes out. First time in a year or a year and a half that we've got to do that. The inner tubes are staying in the lazy river only. We still have to sanitize nightly, even though they're in chlorine. Don't ask me, that's a CDC state guideline that we got to follow. But that's good. We still are sanitizing everything throughout there. We are booked solid for the rest of the summer with our pool parties. That was booked before the season even opened, and all our pool parties have gone well so far. We would like to give a special thanks to LFD as they attended a recent lifeguard in service and refreshed our staff on the use of defibrillators and CPR protocols. The training was very informative, and our staff learned a lot of great information. I just can't say enough about the training that they had. All the guards have gone through this CPR and defibrillator training with their certification, and then they have to go through CPR every year to keep their certification up. But I'm telling you, I was just so emotionally struck to see we actually practiced reviving these infants and trying to emulate a 7-minute wait that they'd have to wait where they rotate around, and the guards took it real serious, and I was so impressed with the training that our fire department gave us. It was just incredible. It made me really proud to be a city employee, see those firemen, and to see our lifeguards take it so serious, knowing that we did infants, adults, and children. And I just can't tell you. We've had a lot of in-services, but that one took me, and that was something. Just had to share that. The splash pad is still well attended daily, and it seems families are still enjoying the free amenity. I also wanted to tell you, Avon is building a wave pool. They're copying us. It's in production now, but they came up, the director and the assistant director spent about 5-6 hours writing down pages and pages, picked our brain a little bit, but they were walking around, and we've got a very good reputation as far as our water park. We have great management. Lori Frost is a manager. Cole Henry's the aquatics director that maintains the whole circle. Anything that's broken, it's his baby. And then our office, Taylor and Allison, I can't say enough of our staff and what they do. They've really got a great reputation throughout the state. We had an aquatics get together last year. I think 6 or 7 different water parks showed up. I know it's going to be huge this fall. And all we do is kind of share information, but we're getting a good reputation, and now they're copying us, and that's always good, isn't it? I don't know. Other than I hate it they're doing it. Frankfurt's still 2 years away from building their pool. We're just unbelievable capacity crowds. That's all I could say. I think we hit about 12 this year out of the 39 days we've been open. 12 were at capacity. So nice place to be in this heat, just to say the least. Our maintenance department has been busy with several park projects, especially leading up to the 4th. Siding on the west side of the maintenance building is it's actually got completed today. The gazebo has received a new metal roof, replaced deck, and fresh paint. That was donated by the Dinger family prior to my stance here at the park, but it was nice to freshen that up and really needs some repairs. We have some talented guys that did an outstanding job on that, and I like the metal roof. We're still looking at putting a cupola up there too, because that's our thing, I believe, and I like cupolas. You may have to notice the safety green. We won't even go there. Why bring that up again? That's too long a conversation. There again, let's just skip that. Don't want to talk about that. Unfortunately, we did have to postpone our co-ed softball tournament due to the weather. Hope to try tournament again soon. Our June swim lessons wrapped up on June 29th. We had a great session. We'll be starting our July session on the 12th. That's morning and evening swim lessons for a couple of weeks. And unfortunately, we're fully booked, all 3 age groups, both morning and evening. We just try and keep the classes where the guards can really hit home to these kids. This session will run for 2 weeks, roughly through the end of July. Our Daddy-Daughter Dance will be held this year on Saturday, August 28th. We will host this on the deck of Seashore Waterpark again, as we enjoyed the venue last year. Tickets are on sale, and prices are $20 per couple and $5 additional child. Black Box Theater will be there for some entertainment, and we hope to enjoy a night of dancing and fun with all the dads and their daughters out there. The outside events that we had Colonial Market Days, had another great turnout this year. I think several of you attended. The weather was awesome. First time they didn't get rained out. I think this is their 3rd annual, but man, hotter than everything with all that gear on, but they did outstanding. Abner Longley seems to be a great venue for that event. The Buick Club Car Show that we stole from Kokomo, I think that's their 3rd running too. Lucked out with great weather as well this year and had just an outstanding turnout. They really enjoy using our Memorial Park, and all these events are coming back because they really do enjoy the courtesy and also the beautiful setting we have. Kiwanis Fishing Derby was held at the Hot Pond Park. We got to do it this year, thank goodness. And again, had great weather and a nice crowd. I saw bass, I saw catfish. Didn't get the albinos, but see all these kids out there fishing with their families or their dads and moms, and it was just great. Great weather, and we really appreciate the Kiwanis for putting that on, and we love hosting it. So nice to see the July 4th of July activities back to normal. Things were slightly scaled back a little bit. We had 3 concerts held in Memorial Park, and they were just attended incredibly. I don't know if you went by the parks and saw them or got to get out to see any of these, but man, did we have some crowds. And I think I shared some pictures of our daily trash that we had, and oh my gosh, you can tell that good times were had and we can throw a party. That's all I got to say. But no, I think our park's pretty well back to being picked up and put in place again. We have several events coming up in July, and August is going to be another big month. Seems like everybody after this COVID wants out, and they're attending in great numbers. As I said, Seashore Waterpark's very successful. Guys are doing an outstanding job on everything they're doing. I heard our restrooms are one of the cleanest community restrooms ever, so that's always a nice little thing. It smells good. It's that fabulosa that you like. Menards is what the trick is anyway. If you have any questions or anything, that's all I have. Thank you.
I think you guys did awesome for the 4th.
I'll pass that on. I agree. I think they did.
Yeah. Everything looks so, it was great, and it was good to see crowds again.
Yes.
So, yeah, everything looked good. Okay, if everyone has had a chance to look at the claims, I'd entertain a motion to approve the claims.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried. And if there's nothing else to come before the board this evening, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I have a motion to adjourn,
Second.
and I have a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you for joining us this evening.